Hey everyone, it's Sophia Melonē, the Debt Demolisher, and welcome to the Sophia Melonē Show, where we make debt freedom the new norm and wealth building the natural nature of habit. This week on the Sophia Melonē Show, we are going to touch on financial ratios. It is so important to have data and measurements in order to help us assess where we are in our journey to financial freedom. So I'm going to share with you 3 financial ratios that you need to keep updated and in your back pocket on a recurring basis. The first ratio I want you to calculate and focus on increasing is your savings ratio. Your savings ratio is simply calculated by taking the amount of savings you have in your bank accounts divided by your annual gross income. So let's deep dive a little bit into the top portion of the ratio, and that is the savings. So your savings will consist of anything that you have currently in your bank account. Those items will consist of anything from fixed deposits such as certificates of deposits, mutual funds, equities, which are your stocks and bonds and things that you can sell quickly, and any other liquid funds. Now, for the bottom half, gross income. We all know what gross income is. Gross income is any form of income you receive, whether actively or passively. So those things can consist of wages, you working on a job, business income, what you earn or what you pay yourself after operating your business, any bonuses you may receive if you are working a career type job, any interest you earn on the money that is sitting in those placeholder accounts like your savings accounts or your certificates of deposit. And gross income, of course, includes any income from dividend payouts as well as any rental income you may have. So, by taking the number of all of those items we talked about for your savings bucket, if you total that number up, divide it by the total number of gross income you have, that will give you your savings ratio. Now let me tell you what the ideal is. You want to at least be in a place where your savings ratio is 10%. If you're not currently saving 10% of your gross income, I want to challenge you to actively put some measures in place so you can get there. The next most important financial ratio you need to ensure you calculate is your debt to asset ratio. Now what that ratio represents is simply your total liabilities divided by your total assets. Now, if you've been following the Sophia Melonē Show for a while, you should already have your total liabilities. Why? Because you would have already faced the reality of your situation. In the Face the Reality of Your Situation episode, we specifically set the intentions to write down all of your outstanding liabilities. So if you have that in front of you and you've been keeping it updated, this ratio will be easy for you. But in case you need a recap, let's go over the total liabilities. Your total liabilities will consist of anything that is potentially tied to your credit report. So that can be personal loans, student loans, car loans, credit cards, any type of loan where you signed a promissory note, that is an outstanding liability to you. So what you want to do is add up all of those items to see exactly how much liability you have tied to your name. Now the bottom half of the equation focuses on assets. Now this is important because assets not only include any liquid cash that you may have in your bank accounts, it also goes into things that can be appraised, such as your car, your home, jewelry, things of that nature. And not only that, as well as investments. So it'll be easy to gather the numbers for the cash and the investments, but it may take you some time to figure out the values for the items that need to be appraised. One thing that you can do if you want to appraise your vehicle is go to kellybluebook.com. If you go on the website, you can easily put in the make, model, mileage, all of the things that they ask for, answer it to the best of your ability, and it will give you a value of what your vehicle is potentially worth right here, right now. Kelley Blue Book is free, it doesn't cost you anything, and all you have to do is set some time aside to actually sit down and go through the questions so you can determine what your vehicle is worth right now. Now for the home. If you're a homeowner, one thing that you want to do to get a quick and easy estimate of what your home could potentially be worth is simply Googling it. Put it in Zillow, put it in Redfin, and see what the estimated value is of your home. Now, I will tell you, the only way that you can really figure out what your true appraised value is of your home is by getting an appraisal. But appraisals cost money. So I wouldn't recommend you get an appraisal just for calculation purposes for ratios. You should only pay for an appraisal when it's absolutely necessary, like if you're selling your home or if you're considering refinancing. So to go the free route and get a ballpark of what your home is worth, head on over to Zillow or Redfin or some other real property site so you can figure out what the value is of your home and list that as an asset. So once you've tallied up all of your total liabilities and you've tallied up all of your assets, you want to divide your total liabilities by your total asset. This will give you your debt to asset ratio. Now ideally, you want this percentage to be as low as possible. Why? Because you do not want your liabilities exceeding your assets. So as a ceiling, your debt to asset ratio should not exceed 50%. So if your debt to asset ratio is 60% or 70% or 80%, you have some serious debt demolition to start doing. Now for the third financial ratio. The third financial ratio you need to always have calculated and know is your emergency fund ratio. Now your emergency fund ratio is simply calculated by taking your cash on hand divided by your monthly expenses. So let's talk about your cash on hand. Your cash on hand will be anything that can turn into liquid very fast. So that would be anything that's in your bank accounts, any certificates of deposit that you have, any stocks or equities that you can sell right away in less than 3 days. Those are considered cash on hand. The second piece of the ratio is your monthly expenses. So you want to take this time to jot down all of your monthly expenses, which you should already have because we talked about this in episode 6. So by taking your cash on hand, dividing that by your monthly expenses, this gives you your emergency fund ratio. So the baseline for your emergency fund ratio should be anywhere between 3 to 6, and that equates to 3 to 6 months. And in addition to that 3 to 6 months, you want to make sure that you also have funds available to cover any deductibles for any insurance policies that you have. That's just a bonus for you guys. Make sure that in your emergency fund you have enough to cover your deductibles, and that's in addition to your 3 to 6 months worth of essential living expenses. Alright, so I hope you've enjoyed this week's episode of the Sophia Melonē Show where we talked about financial ratios. If it's alright with you, share some of your financial ratios in the comments. Let me know if there's something that you have difficulty in calculating or if it's something that you don't understand. Remember, I am here to support you. And since you're getting this knowledge, why not invite a friend? Invite someone else into the room. Make sure that you subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell because each and every week I'm going to be delivering some fun stuff for you on finances. Here at the Sophia Melonē Show, we make debt freedom the new norm and wealth building the natural nature of habit, and we just want to help you cultivate a healthy relationship with your money. Remember, your financial prosperity awaits you, and I look forward to seeing you guys next week. Toodles.